It's our custom to share a few words of teaching between Kabbalat Shabbat, the Psalms that we just completed, that also includes Lecha Dodi, as a transition toward Shabbat. Shabbat is formally only welcomed after this short teaching when we rise for the Baruch Hu. Even if the sun is still up, for Shabbat, as a guest, as the Shabbat bride that entered into our presence, we in our enthusiasm can greet the Shabbat early. Though remarkably, Shabbat itself has its own rhythm. We don't fully control it except by welcoming Shabbat a bit early, in that Shabbat and the seventh day are controlled by the rising and the falling of the sun. In the creation story, it says, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. When God began to create, God created the heavens and the earth. And on that basis, the rabbis say, how do we know when a new day begins? By looking to the heavens. And that is when the sun begins to come out, or, if you will, when the sun sets. But for the rabbis, that introduction to creation sets how a day is counted, which is at night and then the day. And so Shabbat has its own rhythm. No matter when we might want to start Shabbat, we could start early, but there is a deadline, and that is when the sun goes down, a seventh day has begun. I'm thinking about time tonight and wanting to ease into Shabbat with you together. I'll pause to say, some Shabbatot, I deal with the Torah reading as the topic of sharing on a Friday night. But I find this week's Torah reading, which we'll do tomorrow with a bat mitzvah, Esther Tzabah, reading what she has learned and learned well with a beautiful voice. So tune in tomorrow for Parshat Korach. Korach is Moses' cousin. He's trying to oust Moses as the leader. And it's about rebellion and tension and demagoguery. And I thought, for tonight, better to talk about Shabbat, and for us to ease into a seventh day. But in doing so, what I want to focus in on is the very concept of time. In Hebrew, there are a number of words for time. There is Zman, Moed, and Eight. Three different ones that come to mind, and there are others. But I'm going to focus on Zman. The word Zman, time, in Hebrew also is used, that same word, root, for lahazmin, to invite somebody. To invite somebody into your home, to invite somebody to a party. For ultimately, an invitation is a request that somebody shares time with you. So what is Zman? Zman is an invitation to share time. And Shabbat in particular, which has its own rhythm, when the sun sets as the deadline, the seventh day has begun, is another kind of invitation. It's another kind of Zman. It's a Zman in which our tradition teaches us that God invites us to share time with our families, and even more, to share time with God. For on the seventh day, God created a harmony. 6 days God created the world, but on the seventh day there was creation of a different kind. The creation of the awareness that everything is in place. Creation of harmony. Here's a Hasidic teaching. We build a house in order to live in it. Until we live in it, it is not really a home. So too it is with creation. God formed the world in 6 days, but on Shabbat, God came to dwell within it, within creation. And on each Shabbat, the world once again becomes God's home. And so what I do on this Shabbat is I will in a moment do a short guided imagery to find ourselves at home in Shabbat. But as I do, one more comment on time. And that is what I'm finding. I was thinking about this earlier today, actually this afternoon, is that time in COVID has a different texture than time does normally. It feels as if it's all the same, precisely because there isn't that hazmanah, that opportunity to invite into the immediacy of my presence other people. And so I find time feels flat, two-dimensional. It kind of slips away. I looked at my clock this afternoon and I couldn't believe how the day had slipped away. It was a very busy day, as most of these days seem to be, but without those markings, those hazmanot, those invitations of contact, personal contact, that make time have texture. And yet, on Shabbat in this moment, we are called to feel a separation, a havdalah that begins Shabbat and ends Shabbat. Havdalah, a seventh day that is holy. In the Amidah that we are about to recite, there are 7 blessings, and the middle is a module for tonight. And I want to share the beginning and the end and then a closing reflection. We say to God words of gratitude. You dedicated the 7th day to your name as the culmination of the creation of heaven and earth, blessing it above all other days, sanctifying it beyond other times. And then that paragraph concludes, Adonai our God, lovingly and willingly, grant that we inherit your holy Shabbat, that the people Israel who made your name holy may find rest on this day. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, ever-present one, who makes Shabbat holy. And so, before I close with a blessing, I invite you to breathe out all the tensions of the week and to breathe in the calm of the 7th day, to breathe out all the unfinished business, and to breathe in the awareness that there is a time not to do but to be, to breathe out all the sense of struggle, and to breathe in a sense of harmony, and allow yourself, if you will, to feel prepared to enter into Shabbat, into holy time, time separated from the other 6 days as a time of repose. Allow yourself to feel calm, content, that the world is indeed a gift and a blessing. And with that, a closing blessing. Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the universe, you sanctified the 7th day and called it holy. May we make distinctions between the work week and holy time. May we on Shabbat count our blessings, and may we bless those around us. May we know that our worth comes from the gift of your creation, for we hold within us your breath, a gift that is eternal. May we feel the blessing of holy time, and may we feel whole. Amen.